Abigail Williams and Liberty German thought it was just another afternoon adventure. Two best friends exploring the quiet trails of Delphi, Indiana. But within 24 hours, their names would become etched into one of the most haunting murder cases in American history. What began as a simple hike turned into a chilling mystery filled with cryptic evidence, a grainy video, a voice saying down the hill, and a suspect hiding in plain sight for over 5 years. Now, with shocking new court details revealed, the truth is darker and more twisted than anyone imagined. It was a cold February afternoon in the small town of Delphi, Indiana, when two 8th-grade girls, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, vanished while hiking the Monone High Bridge Trail. The next day, their bodies were found in a nearby wooded area. In a place so quiet and hidden it seemed impossible anyone could have found it without knowing exactly where to go. From the start, investigators believed the crime was personal, or at the very least, premeditated. What made this case stand out wasn't just the brutality, but the chilling evidence Liberty managed to capture on her phone. A grainy video, just a few seconds long, showed a man walking briskly toward them, his head down, wearing jeans, a blue jacket, and a hat. From the phone, they also extracted a voice. Just 3 words, clear and menacing. "Guys, down the hill." For years, those words haunted the town, becoming a grim slogan of the unsolved murder. As the investigation dragged on, theories multiplied. Some said it had to be a local, someone familiar with the terrain. Others thought it might be a drifter passing through. But no arrest was made, and no suspect matched the video well enough to stick. The case grew cold, but the community refused to forget. Billboards went up. The families spoke at public events. And every time the footage was aired, it ignited fresh hope and fear. Then, after more than 5 years of silence, there was a sudden breakthrough. Richard Allen, a 50-year-old pharmacy technician who had lived in Delphi for years, was arrested. He had even spoken with police back in 2017, telling them he'd been on the bridge that day. But without further evidence, he'd been dismissed, a blip in a long list of potential witnesses. Now, he was the prime suspect, and the court documents that followed shook the case wide open. Investigators claimed they had found an unspent .40 caliber round near the girls' bodies. A lab test matched it to a gun owned by Allen. On its own, that might not have been enough. But there was more. A search of Allen's home uncovered disturbing journals and a hidden digital footprint of violent imagery, suggesting an obsession with domination and control. Prosecutors argued that this was on TI random killing. It was a carefully staged crime with ritualistic elements. Even more chilling, they hinted there could be a group involved. Court filings introduced an unconfirmed theory that Allen may have been part of a so-called Odinic cult, a secretive, extremist group with ties to Norse mythology and warped ideologies, though the defense claimed this was a distraction and Allen was merely a scapegoat. The possibility that others may have helped plan or cover up the murders added a terrifying new layer to the case. One of the most disturbing revelations came from Allen's own jail writings. In a letter to his wife, he claimed that the guards were drugging him, that he was being silenced, and that his death was being orchestrated from inside. Though some dismissed it as paranoia, others wondered if there was truth behind the madness. His physical condition appeared to deteriorate rapidly in custody. Photos leaked from court showed a gaunt, almost unrecognizable man, shaking and silent. Meanwhile, defense attorneys pushed back hard. They argued the bullet wasn't conclusive, the cult theory was sensationalized, and Allen's past showed no violent tendencies. They claimed the prosecution was using fear to fill in gaps where evidence was thin. In a shocking twist, the defense even suggested the crime scene had been contaminated and that the bullet could have been planted. As the pretrial hearings unfolded, the case grew murkier. Key documents were sealed, and entire sections were redacted. Rumors spread that confidential informants were involved. Some locals claimed law enforcement knew more than they were saying, that names of other suspects were being kept quiet to avoid tipping them off. And then, just when the case seemed to be heading toward trial, the judge made a surprising move. Several pieces of evidence were ruled inadmissible and included certain statements Allen made during what his lawyers called a psychotic episode. Suddenly, the case didn't seem so clear-cut. Now, as the court date looms, Delphi remains divided. Some are convinced they have the right man. Others believe the truth still lies hidden in the woods, buried beneath years of secrecy and fear. One thing is certain. The Manon High Bridge isn't just a hiking trail anymore. It's a place frozen in time, where a quiet afternoon turned into a nightmare, and where, even now, not all the answers have been found.